Hi everyone, it's Neve here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today in our Artist Almanac series, we're going to have a go at painting some botanicals. So this page I was inspired by obviously some botanicals. I wanted to put something in the background though, just to add a little bit of interest. So I'm going in with this graphic collage paper and just gluing the entire thing down on the page. When I finish that, give it a bit of dry, that's going to sort of end up being my basis for the background. Then putting some gesso over the top while it's still wet. I haven't cleaned my brush out, and then I'm adding in some blue or turquoisey colour into the background. So I'm getting this sort of almost textured effect in the background. I want it to be a bit scrapey. I want you to see bits of the background coming through, a bit of colour, a bit of white. Having the wet gel medium on there as well first helps everything stay a little bit translucent. It almost acts as though it's a little bit of a glazing medium, so it just thins out the pigment a little bit more. I'm going in and drawing a rough, very rough botanical shape, and going in with a quite watered down acrylic paint and just sort of painting a blob on. Now I am not great at at drawing botanicals. I am not great with plants in general, so even knowing the name of this type of flower, I have no idea. It was just sort of rosy kind of shaped, so that's what I was going for. What I did want to work on was sort of these sort of petal-y type shapes. So I'm starting off with it wasn't necessarily a blob in the background, it did have petals on it, but just being really, really loose and really abstract with it, I suppose. I knew I couldn't make it realistic looking, so I wanted to at least make it shaped similar, if that makes sense. So now I'm going in and just popping in some leaves. Again, lots of translucent layers. So the reason I think the original piece that this is inspired from was done in watercolor, because I struggle with watercolor with its water reactivity. I wanted to do something where I had a little bit more control, and if I liked how it looked, I could dry it and it would stay there, and that gave me a little bit more confidence. So once I'd loosely painted on the background, now I'm going in with some of the Distress watercolor pencils and adding in some shading to my defined petals, so to speak. I've kind of got a bit of a petal-y shape here, and I'm going in and adding some extra red and then adding in some shading with the darker purple color as well. This still looks like a train wreck, but that's okay. It's a work in progress, and that's why I use my journal. You know, it's to practice, to have a go at doing these things, to, you know, have a disaster. It's okay. It just means that you're trying to get better. So that's where I was going with it. In the background, I wanted a little bit more of the blue color. So again, I have gone in with some water and sprinkled some of the gloss sprays in. So I do love the effect of the gloss sprays when they're put into water, because they do almost have a watercolor effect. They sort of wick and blend out and do all the things that you would expect watercolors to do. Now I'm going in with a Stabilo oil pencil, and again sort of very, very loosely defining the shape of the petals and the leaves and so on, just to get a bit of shape back into the piece. Then I'm putting a little bit of shading in by rubbing out, by melting the Stabilo oil pencil with the heat of my hand around it. To add a bit more interest into the background, I'm going in with some shades of blue and just doing some mark making background stamps. So this is just a bit of a grungy backgroundy stamp. Then I've water activated the Stabilo Oil Pencil to give it that sort of loose bleeding out look as well. Finally, I'm going in with some of my white ink, just sponging off where the flower is. So I've got that sort of little bit of a splatter effect in the background. I always feel happy when I've got splatter on my page because it kind of is a really great way to bring everything together somewhat. So when I've done this, it did kind of look botanical, but you know, it is what it is. So I decided to write my quote over the flower, and I suppose it's a really great way to take your eye off the imperfections. So when you look at this, you can recognize the shape of a flower in the background, but you're actually reading the quote. So your eyes aren't necessarily looking all that closely at what's in the background. Usually I have all that space in the top left-hand corner. That would be where I would put the quote. But by putting it down on the flower, it helps hide the flower somewhat. So, you know, choose where you put your quotes wisely. It would be the lesson for that. So with my quote, once I have got it the way I want it, I'm just going in and putting a bit of a drop shadow on it just to help push it out from the background, give it that 3D effect as well. And I find that really makes the quote become a lot clearer on the page. It just loses those fuzzy edges. So you can see up the top, that's the image I was inspired by. Down the bottom is what I actually turned out with. And then the final piece and how it came together. I really loved how the background came out. I was happy enough with the flower. It was a bit tall. It probably needed to be squashed out sideways a bit, but as I said, work in progress. So have a go, just have a go. Practice makes progress is my mantra. So I'll be doing more of these and hopefully getting better at it. Until next time, bye for now.